Hi everyone, I'm Joe DiDonato and we're here at the Enterprise Learning Conference and Expo out in Anaheim, California. And I'm here today with one of our keynote speakers for the afternoon panel. But more than that, a Learning 100 award winner. This is Karl-Heinz Oehler. And Karl-Heinz lives in Zurich, so he's had a long trip in. And thank you for doing that for us. And we're excited to see you. And Senior VP of Talent Development for Hertz, no small task, is that?
It's not, no, you can say that. No.
And I've asked Karl to tell us the favorite story I heard. Who do you think is the most important person in the Hertz organization that represents the company? Think about that for a second. And now, Karl will tell you.
Well, the politically correct answer, of course, is the CEO, right?
Of course, I forgot.
And, but yes, I mean, the question was asked quite a number of times, you know, where's value generated in Hertz? And the reality is it's in the front line. So our most important people that we have are the people who are managing the front line. It's the customer service representative. It's other people who take the car back when your car rental experience is over. They are in direct contact with the customer every day. If they don't behave the way we want them to behave, if they don't show the attitude that we want them to show, customers will switch very quickly, right? Cost of switching in car rental is pretty close to zero. And if I may add, one of the other things that we have for a long time underestimated is the people we call instant return reps. And these are the people who take the car back when you come. There's a 15-20 second touch point, and if you had a good experience, if that 15-second touch point is not good, it may take a good experience into a bad one. And the other way around, of course, works as well. If you had a bad experience, this person can make a very big difference in 15-20 seconds and turn it into a positive one. So bottom line is our frontline employees are the key employees and the most important employees in the company.
Now you've been, there's been a lot of acquisitions in the course of the last couple of years. How hard is that to do when, you know, to get everybody's thinking in the same direction?
Well, as the saying goes, it is very easy to acquire a company, it's very difficult to integrate it. So yes, our biggest acquisition was Dollar Thrifty, well-established company and respected company. Having a company that has a very strong culture like Dollar Thrifty, who themselves were a merger, merge into the Hertz environment is not a trivial task. And our biggest challenge was to communicate to the Dollar Thrifty employees that they came in as equals, that they were not the acquired and therefore second citizen or second-class citizen, so to speak, but coming in and building on their experience, build the diversity of the company, learn from them. Clearly, the Dollar Thrifty company was active in operating in different markets than Hertz. That's why we wanted them to be part of the Hertz family, making sure that everybody understands their role and works accordingly to the role, but also leveraging the knowledge and the experience that these people bring was for us a big challenge. It turned out to work pretty well after the initial difficulties which you have in any acquisition. But today we're very satisfied of how the integration work has turned out.
Now the other thing that we're going to talk about in the afternoon session is that is the strong connection between, we use language that is common to the field of education, but the connection between the CEO's office and the CLO's office, the Chief Learning Officer. And how that conversation is very different I don't know if you want to just give them a little teaser about what that conversation might be like, and then they can learn more when they see the afternoon session.
Well, clearly our CEO is extremely involved. And
you sit at the table. I meant to make that clear.
yes, and we have a seat, and I have a seat at the table. When you sit at the table, you need to speak the language of the table, or the language that is spoken at the table. What our CEO doesn't want to hear is what he calls HR talk. And impresses on us and impresses on me that we need to add value to the organization, that we are part of the value chain, and that whatever we do needs to turn out as something positive to the customer. That pressure makes you think very differently. Yep. So I hardly go into a meeting and talk about the tools I use on the assessment side, for instance, or other tools. It's not that they don't care, but they say at the end of the day the tool needs to do something for me. What is it? What do I get for what you do? So whatever you use, I know you're the professional, I know what tool you have to pick, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't change the behavior of our frontline staff, again the most important people, but also the staff in the corporate offices, and there is an effect on the customer, and at the end of the day an effect on our business results, then you're not adding value.
Yep, it's just a different tone of the conversation. You know, I think that's the biggest challenge for people who have come up through the ranks of the learning organization or through the HR organization, right, is to change their language when they get a seat at the table. It is quite different. You know, we shared some stories, and I told you the one when I took over education for Oracle, and I get called in the office in the first couple of days of my new job, and they say, "Joe, our software is shelfware. It's your fault." I said, "I've been here 2 days." You know, but what they're concerned with is the results. You know, if our customers, if Oracle's customers couldn't be successful with the product, then we were doomed to just sit on a shelf and die a slow death. You know, and so it's a whole different conversation. I think it flipped our thinking from internal metrics, like you're saying. You know, you think to the customer experience. Okay, so what do we need to do to make the customer successful with the product? And in your group, it's what are you doing to make it, you know, the experience successful?
Yeah, and I would have two reactions to that. I hear so often that HR people claim that, and I'm controversial on that, I know this, that they want a seat at the table. And my response is, you earn that seat. It's not given to you. So unless the table or the people at the table understand what it is you do for the company, why would they give you that seat? Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two is that I honestly believe that HR in general is a business function, and therefore needs to work with other businesses. You mentioned the customer experience. There is no good customer experience unless you have a good employee experience. They are intrinsically linked. So when you talk about employee branding, if the employee branding is not linked to the customer branding, it's not adding value. Therefore, HR needs to talk with marketing and cooperate with marketing, work with marketing, but also understand the marketing language, and that means compromise. I'm not sure people are prepared to compromise at times.
You may be right, you may be right. But as you can all see, there is a whole different conversation that goes on when you do get a seat at the table. So we hope that's going to encourage you to come this afternoon and listen to more of what Karl-Heinz has to say, and he'll be joined by Suzanne Logan from the Office of Personnel Management, U.S. Office of Personnel Management, and that other chief executive that she reports into. So I think it's going to be a great conversation, you know, from the private sector and the public sector, and comparing notes. And we did find common ground when we all three talked at the time. So I'm
looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too.
All right.
Thank you much, everyone, and thank you, Carl.
Okay. Thank you very
Karl-Heinz
much.
for joining us.
Okay, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.